As motorsport enthusiasts, we're all drawn to the adrenaline rush that comes from driving fast cars. It doesn't matter if we're stuck in long lines of traffic on our way to work or taking grandma for a routine checkup. We've all imagined putting the pedal to the metal and tearing up the streets in our family wagons. As we make our way through the urban sprawl, we fantasize about every overtake being cheered on from the sidelines. We picture every fuel stop like it's a stop into the pit lane, a race against time to get back out on track and dominate the competition. Unfortunately, this moment often comes right before we're nearly pushed off the streets by a bus trying to get somewhere in a hurry. So we snap back to reality, turn down the music, and reach a top speed of 30 miles per hour before parking our car by the side of the road. The truth is that most of us will never drive vehicles that have the speed or performance levels required to live out our childhood fantasies. For a select few in 1999, however, this wasn't the case. These guys may not have known it then, but the new car they'd bought specifically for its affordable price tag, fuel economy, and inner-city practicality was secretly a gem. To be fair, it didn't take too long for buyers to realize that this wasn't the average compact car. Just a year after its launch, this powerhouse of a vehicle was named the European Car of the Year, Japanese Car of the Year, and would eventually go on to win 4 manufacturers' titles and 5 drivers' titles over just 7 years at the World Rally Championship. This is the story of how an unassuming hatchback with mundane gray interiors and a top speed of just 96 miles per hour evolved into a beast that many believe is the perfect driver's car. The first thing you need to know about this perfect driver's car is that it wasn't created by accident. It was an integral part of a plan that was 70 years in the making. That's right, 70. Anyone who's followed motorsports for a while knows that Toyota's always focused its attention on creating seriously high-performance cars. In fact, the company itself was forged out of a burning desire to be at the pinnacle of motorsport. Consider the words of the founder of Toyota Motor Corporation, Kiichiro Toyota, who outlined how crucial motor racing was for the development of the automobile industry. Just as athletes test their capabilities by competing with all their strength in the Olympics, automakers use racing as an opportunity to push a vehicle's performance to the limits and compete for supremacy, enabling them to discover new ways of advancing automotive technology. He was quoted as saying in 1937, "This commitment has, as you'd imagine, reflected in Toyota developing quite the CV." Over the years, the Japanese manufacturers introduced the world to some truly spectacular race cars. The 2000 GT, which some consider to be Japan's first supercar, the Celica ST-185, which won consecutive WRC titles in 1993 and 1994, and the TS050 Hybrid, which won the 2018 24 Hours of Le Mans, to name a few. In fact, in 1999, when it introduced the compact Yaris to Europe, Toyota had just sealed the deal on that year's WRC with another of its offerings. Following a dominant performance, the Corolla WRC successfully beat 2 of its Japanese counterparts, the Subaru Impreza WRC 99 and the Mitsubishi Lancer Evo 6, to win Toyota the highly coveted title of the Best Rally Car of the Year. Formula One fans may be interested to note that 2 of the drivers that led Toyota to victory included Carlos Sainz Sr., the father of current Ferrari driver Carlos Sainz Jr., as well as Sky Sports commentator Martin Brundle. But that wasn't the only Toyota connection with Formula One that year. 1999 was also the season that Toyota decided to set aside its dreams of securing another WRC title to focus its attention on building up its own Formula One team. In retrospect, this would turn out to be one of the worst ideas of the last couple of decades, right up there with the decision to make the 2014 Need for Speed film. The Panasonic Toyota racing team, which ran from 2002 to 2009, had what even the most generous bystanders would call a lackluster performance. In 7 seasons, it only achieved 13 podiums and 3 pole positions despite entering with a massive budget. Fortunately for Toyota's diehard fans, other plans were simultaneously brewing. Plans that would snowball into what we know today as the GR Yaris. It all began in 2007, when Toyota's founder's own grandson and then vice president, Akio Toyoda, displayed how committed he was to following through on his grandfather's vision, to make better street cars by excelling in the world of motorsport. With a team led by veteran test driver Hiromu Naruse, Toyota swapped out his business attire for a driver's suit and secretly competed in the Nürburgring 24-hour race in Germany. To cover up his tracks, Toyota went by the name Morizo. Since the drivers had entered as independents and didn't race exclusively with Toyota cars, they were unable to use the factory-backed team named Toyota Racing. Instead, like their primary driver, they would have to find another moniker to enter with. Eventually, they settled on a new team name, Gazoo. Gazoo is a word that in Japanese literally means picture, but it's more likely a reference to a small independent website that would publish all information about Toyota's independent racing projects. On the day of the race, Team Gazoo only managed to complete 80 laps, which sounds like a lot, but it's definitely nothing to write home about. But soon after the identity of the enigmatic Morizo was revealed, the team became the center of attention. After all, it's not too often you see the CEO of a company channel their inner Vin Diesel and enter a race on a whim. Over the years, as the newly formed Team Gazoo Racing began attracting some of the world's leading engineers, mechanics, and drivers, it set its sights much higher than competing in the one-off endurance race. By 2015, all Toyota Motorsport racing programs officially came under the Gazoo Racing banner. The same year, GR formally announced its plans to return to rallying after a nearly 20-year hiatus and established its new base in a village in central Finland. The man who would lead the team would be one of the most accomplished rally drivers in history, Tommi Mäkinen. The car he decided would be up to the challenge was a version of the same dinky hatchback released in 1999, the Toyota Yaris. The Toyota Yaris, as it was introduced in Europe, went by a few names in other markets. In the US, it was released as the Toyota Echo, while in Japan it was known as the Vitz. Eventually, Toyota stuck with the name Yaris, a word that was inspired by the Greek goddess Charis, who stood for beauty, charm, and elegance, which are not normally three words you might associate with Toyota. But hey, why not? However, between 2015 and 2016, the Gazoo Racing Rally team showed its commitment to add two more words to this description: speed and performance. To do so, the team's principal, Mäkinen, would have to use his experience as a four-time WRC champion and completely transform the Yaris of the time into a vehicle that would blow the wig off an unsuspecting bystander. First, a new engine was developed, a turbo four-cylinder that displaced 1.6 liters and produced nearly 380 horsepower. Then, following some intense testing in Finland, courtesy of master driver Akio Toyota, aka Morizo, the car was fitted with an intelligent all-wheel drive system. The car was also tuned to ensure it would excel on all surfaces, offering performance and safety across snow, gravel, and tarmac. It had a total weight of 1,190 kilograms and a top speed of 201 kilometers per hour, or 125 miles per hour. By the time it rolled into the Paris Motor Show in 2016, the all-new Toyota Yaris WRC bore little resemblance to the Yaris your history professor would drive back in the early 2000s. Instead, its iconic livery immediately captured the attention of motorsport enthusiasts, who couldn't wait to see how the beauty would fare on the track. Fortunately, it didn't take too long to see Gazoo Racing's creation in action. The Toyota Yaris WRC debuted on the international stage in 2017, and the impact was immediate. In its second race, it secured its first victory in Sweden. Finnish driver Jari-Matti Latvala and his co-driver Mika Anttila conquered icy conditions over 3 days between February 10 and February 12 to secure Gazoo Racing WRT its first 30-point haul. Unfortunately, it also didn't take too long for the Yaris' shortcomings to come to the fore either. Following its stunning performance on the ice, the car stumbled on other surfaces and failed to secure any more victories that year. Still, Gazoo Racing WRT finished a respectable third in the Manufacturers' Championship, with Latvala finishing fourth in the driver's standings. Over the following year, the Gazoo team continued to apply the Toyota founder's vision of using motorsport to achieve even better results and fine-tune the car even further. When the car rolled out for the 2019 WRC, changes were made to improve the car's aerodynamics package, engine, powertrain, and suspension. Basically, all the important stuff. And clearly, the changes were working. The new and improved Yaris WRC's first victory came during Round 5 in Argentina in the capable hands of new drivers, Oyt Tanak and Martin Järveoja. It was followed up by consecutive victories in Finland, Germany, and Turkey, rounds that officially secured Toyota its first manufacturer's title since 1999. From then on, there was no turning back for this tuned-up Yaris. During the 2019 and 2020 WRCs, the car helped Toyota secure consecutive drivers and co-drivers titles and only barely lost out to the Hyundai Shell Mobi's WRT in the manufacturer title race. At some point during this dominant rally campaign, Toyota realized that it was sitting on something special. I mean, it was kind of hard not to notice, really. Bolstered by the success of the previous few years, it set its sights on upgrading its rally car for the upcoming 2021 season, with some insanely ambitious plans. The first thing that Mäkinen and Toyota agreed on was that a 5-door hatchback wasn't suitable for competition. Mäkinen instead wanted a 3-door with a lower roofline, wider roof rack, and double wishbone suspension. This would require some serious restructuring to the XP210 series Yaris, which had inspired their 2017 rally car. So, they plan to create what's known in the automotive world as a homologation special, a road car that's designed specifically with the goal of making a better race car. Chief engineer Naohiko Saito was roped into the project, and a crack team was put to work executing Mäkinen and Toyota's vision. Over the next few months, the GR Yaris, as we know it today, began to take shape. Even after looking at one of these for just a few seconds, it becomes clear that the GR Yaris was designed with one thing in mind: driving. Toyota created a whole new engine and all-wheel drive system. More specifically, a turbocharged 1.6-liter 3-cylinder motor combined with officially the lightest ever 4-wheel drive system. These two things alone meant that this new GR Yaris was not just Golf GTI quick, it was fast on a whole other level. The engine would produce 260 horsepower at 6,500 RPM, and 265 pound-feet of torque from 3,000 RPM to 4,600 RPM, or in layman's terms, enough to hammer you into the seat when you put your foot down. But that wasn't all. Not only was this fresh new Yaris on steroids rapid, it also handled well too. Through the use of carbon fiber and aluminum for various parts such as the door panels and trunk lids, Toyota had managed to get the weight down to just 1,280 kilograms. Which is more than you might expect, but practically a feather when compared to most cars with this level of performance. In today's world, full of EVs, advanced safety systems, and every manufacturer's constant need to tick boxes with environmentalists, the pure essence of driving is often overlooked, even for some performance-oriented cars. However, with this all-new Yaris, Toyota went against the grain with relentless tunnel vision. Unlike other manufacturers' cars, BMW, they offered it with a manual transmission and 4-wheel drive, a magical combination that's so rare these days that you're more likely to see Bigfoot high-fiving the Loch Ness Monster. When we say this Yaris was all new, we mean it. A bespoke chassis was created, utilizing the front from the Yaris and the rear based on the Corolla. With the design complete, the GR Yaris went into production in September 2020 on a dedicated assembly line in the Motomachi plant. And what emerged on the other side was something special, very special. This new and improved GR Yaris had as much in common with the original Yaris as the Joaquin Phoenix's Joker had with Jack Nicholson's Joker. All it really shared was the name. So, Toyota had created a beast for the roads, but what was to come of the rally version? Unfortunately for Gazoo Racing, the 2020 COVID pandemic struck shortly after the GR Yaris was designed, and Toyota decided to scrap plans of creating a brand new rally car for 2021. This, combined with a looming regulation change for 2022, made the whole project kind of pointless. Still, the car Toyota already had was pretty good. Now, the fact that the GR Yaris wouldn't reach the WRC also meant that Toyota would no longer have to create the 25,000 road-going versions required under homologation rules. Despite this, Toyota went ahead to produce them anyway, and thanks to the reasonable price tag and press coverage, saw a large percentage of them get snapped up before they even went on sale. This, coupled with the fact that the car is so thoroughly engineered, led many to believe that the GR Yaris was sold at either a loss or with a super skinny margin. Either way, on paper, it's probably a good investment. But as reviews poured in for this incredible hot hatch, it became increasingly clear that Toyota wouldn't mind losing out on some money. Just a year after its launch in the UK, the car was named the UK Car of the Year 2021, Car Magazine's Hot Hatch of the Year, and Autocar's Best Affordable Driver's Car. Jeremy Clarkson's called it one of the most enjoyable and thrilling vehicles he's ever driven, while a PistonHeads poll declared it the best hot hatch of the last 25 years. It also wasn't sold in the United States or Canada, or we'd likely see it winning even more awards on the other side of the pond. As more vehicles were sold, it became clearer that Toyota had succeeded in its founder's vision of making even better cars through motorsports. Meanwhile, the Toyota Yaris wasn't faring too badly at the WRC either. Despite scrapping plans to turn the GR Yaris into its next big WRC contender, Toyota continued on its hot streak. After all, they already had a winning horse. In fact, in 2021, Gazoo Racing didn't just replicate its success from the previous few years, but completely shattered all expectations, securing every single title on offer and winning a staggering 9 of the 12 rallies across a diverse range of road conditions. But if there's one thing we've learned from the world of motorsport, it's that change is the only constant. And as the GR Yaris brought rally racing to the streets, the FIA decided to bring sustainable practices into rally, and officially revised its regulations for the 2022 season. To call these changes merely revisions, however, is a massive understatement. In what turned out to be the biggest shakeup in a generation, the FIA announced that it would introduce hybrid technology to the highest level of rallying for the first time. This meant that drivers would have to use hybrid power during every stage of the race, with power boosts activated by the throttle pedal and further boosts unlocked when the battery was sufficiently charged by regeneration under braking. Drivers would also have to navigate particular road sections around service parks on EV power alone, while all cars would also have to run on sustainable fuel. The regulations, which mandated the introduction of a 100 kilowatt hybrid unit, would make the cars around 70 kilograms heavier, but in theory, drastically reduce their carbon footprints. So rather than build on the success of the GR Yaris, Gazoo Racing quickly got to work accommodating these changes and adapted their Yaris WRC to fit the new regulations. The mandatory hybrid motor was integrated into the existing internal combustion engine, which, at its peak, was able to deploy about 540 horsepower, 42% more than the previous one. The revised car was also fitted with a first-of-its-kind 100% sustainable fuel to power the 1.6-liter turbocharged engine. A bespoke safety cell was also created to protect the drivers. The result of all these modifications was the Toyota GR Yaris Rally 1 Hybrid, a car that would build on an already excellent car to usher in a future of sustainable motorsport. With this car, Toyota proved that the 2020 GR Yaris wasn't a fluke, as Gazoo Racing won the 2022 manufacturer's title by 70 points, the Drivers' Championship with 22-year-old wonderkid Kalle Rovanperä, and the co-driver's title with Janne Halttunen. The clean sweep continued in 2023, with Kalle Rovanperä, Janne Halttunen, and Toyota successfully defending their titles. This time, the manufacturer even managed to extend its lead, scoring a total of 548 points compared to Hyundai's 432. By the end of 2023, the Yaris WRC and its subsequent models had secured 5 drivers' titles and 4 manufacturers' titles, and it had taken just 7 years since it was first introduced at the Paris Motor Show to achieve this immense feat. But more importantly for us, this streak has also enabled Toyota to push the boundaries of what's possible with their road-going cars. In 2024, the manufacturer announced that it was launching a brand new GR Yaris, packed with even more features than its already spectacular predecessor. This includes a version with an 8-speed direct automatic transmission, which Toyota says has been engineered for competitive use. The new GR Yaris is fitted with the same turbocharged 3-cylinder engine, only this time it makes 300 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque. In honor of Kiichiro Toyoda's vision, the influence of competitive motorsport is visible all through the design of the new GR Yaris. In fact, the new car was released with the slogan, "Thanks for breaking it," as a nod to the drivers and engineers who pushed the Yaris to the limits on the track for the last 7 years. The new GR Yaris lets us upshift by pulling down on the lever rather than pushing it, lets us keep track of our speed on a professional race driver-inspired gauge display, and even allows us to enter a circuit mode that relaxes the top speed limiter. Essentially, it finally gives us the opportunity to live out our fantasies and get behind the wheel of a car that's both suited for everyday driving and tearing up the track.